How's it going? This is Luther. You're watching the Comic Ball Crew. Check us out on YouTube.
Yo. We're here. We are in the building. It is I. It is Matt. Dusty Britt Brown, a.k.a. Al, is in the building. We got brother Marcus Roberts back with us this year. And we've got the man of the hour, hours, Rico.
Too sweet to be sours.
Dino Spumoni.
Dino is in the building.
Spumoni.
Got Dino Spumoni in the building. He's going to tell you a lot about Black history tonight, right? Okay.
Yep.
So y'all know where Dino Spumoni comes from, right?
I've heard of it.
Anybody in the chat? We gonna see if anybody knows where Dino Spumoni comes from.
Let's give him a few. Yeah. Give him a few seconds to respond.
See
while they do that, tonight the context will be tonight. If you was on the show last week, if you followed, it was in the chat last week. You know what I'm talking about. The context of this show will be once again Black history and comics. and so we're just letting you know right now before you invest your time. We let you know we're gonna be talking about black history and comic books. So I don't want no shit from nobody in the chat tonight.
You know, I've heard that went over my head.
I missed that one, so I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I'm just gonna keep it a buck, keeping it 100 with you. You know, so if you don't want to hear about Black history and comic books, you're more than welcome to roll out. Come back in March, and we'll have everything else you want to talk about. We'll talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. We'll talk about everything else in March. But for the next 3 weeks, we're talking about Black history in comics and in music.
You know what tripped me out about that, man, when we get started was the fact that the thumbnail should have told the person what the show was about. So for that individual to come in and say what's the context, I think it was a troll, man. That's what I think it was a troll.
It's probably troll.
Ain't no telling. All right, Rico, let's get ready to get this show on the road. G-Man, appreciate you being in the building. Everybody who's in the chat, thank you for coming in. Make sure you hit that bell, subscribe as you are coming in. Hope that you all have a beautiful day. And it's time. It's our favorite segment of the year. It is Rico and Black Key Comics. Take it away, brother. It's all yours, man.
Oh man, we're not gonna do no. You must be out your mind.
Oh, bro, it's 10 o'clock at night. We be here.
I'm missing it. Okay. All right. Well, let's do this.
We 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning. All right. Let me make sure we up and going. All right. I want to make sure everybody sees it. I think last time.
Yeah. Can everybody see it? Everybody see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Good.
All right. Well, let's get this thing going. No, you must be out your doggone mind. So I'm gonna have to keep it moving. So we're gonna wrap up the artist and creator portion of this month. I'm trying to split everything up into like 2 features for every day. That way we can kind of go through it more thoroughly. So last week we went through George Harriman and Vernon Grant, which I thought was very exciting. Share some really good information, especially with Vernon Grant. I got a lot of people reaching out to me like, man, I didn't know that Vernon Grant introduced MAGA to manga. MAGA manga to the West. I thought that was pretty dope. So I got a lot of people reaching out to me. They were doing their research. It's a really good response. So I think that's pretty cool. So today,
what you said, Rico? You said who?
Manga.
Emotional damage.
All right, carry on.
Hey man, this is gonna be like that maybe for the next 4 years. So pray for them. But so this weekend we're gonna talk about one of my favorite artists, a gentleman by the name of Ted Carroll. And I think after this particular presentation, I talked about him briefly in one of our earlier segments, but it was really just kind of just not really thorough. I think I just kind of spoke on maybe for a few seconds. But today we're going to really learn about this artist because he played a major role. He's a golden age creator also. So this is somebody that did his work during the golden age. So let's go ahead and get this Go ahead and get this started. So this is Ted Carroll, and what I like to do sometimes is kind of start out with my own title, what I call it, the cartoonist who knew a knockout story. You're going to kind of get an idea what that means. And these are some of the most these four highlights are some of the things I think that really represent who this individual is. The first one is he's pioneering Black boxing journalist and artist. Ted Carroll broke barriers as one of the first African-American cartoonists, illustrators, and sports writers specializing in boxing during a time of significant racial segregation. He was a masterful boxing storyteller. For over 50 years, Carroll's artwork graced the pages of the Ring magazine and comic books such as Joe Louis #1, solidifying his legacy as a master of boxing storytelling. He was a historian, and he chronicled Black boxing, and he's now today he's looked at as a historian, even though he was just writing and illustrating and doing artwork and telling stories and comics and different things like that. But today you're going to see as we move on, he's now literally revered as a historian. Carroll authored a series, the American Black Man in Boxing, for the Ring magazine, exploring the history of African American boxers and the intersection of race, sports, and society. Also, despite his significant contributions to boxing, journalism, and art, after he passed away, unfortunately, he was actually inducted in the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2013, 40 years after his death. So this man right here is actually in the International Boxing Hall of Fame as an artist and as a writer, which is absolutely phenomenal. Ted Carroll was one of the greatest American artists and sports writers of the 20th century, most notably as a boxing cartoonist and journalist. As a Black man working in an era when boxing was one of the few outlets where Black athletes could achieve wealth, success, and recognition, Carroll's commentary on the sport provides a profound perspective on race and the history of boxing. So this is the book that he's most known for, and this is a comic. And we're going to go later on. And most people that are students of history and understand the golden age, if you see things like Picture Stories, Picture Magazine, these are comics. These are just ways they will call it. As a matter of fact, True Comics #1, a comic we're going to talk about later, which is a very important book as well. They have two covers. They have one that just says True Comics, and they have another that says Picture Magazine, but it's the exact same book. So these were almost like funny pages. We used to hear things like funny pages back then. So go to the next screen. Ring career, Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, Jack Dempsey. So this is the book. This is a comic that is a very, very profound comic. It's not an easy comic to find, and when you find it, it's really, really, really beat up. It's really beat up. This book was published in 1947. This is some of his pioneering work. Carroll wrote and illustrated Ring career, Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, Jack Dempsey, 1947. A 62-page comic picture storybook featuring over 400 drawings. A unique illustrated format. Carroll's Ring career combines detailed illustrations with descriptive captions, offering a distinctive picture storybook approach that blends both traditional comic strips and picture storytelling. Historical boxing documentation. Published in 1947, this 62-page book captured the careers of two heavyweight legends at a pivotal time. Joe Louis was the reigning champion, while Jack Dempsey had retired 2 decades earlier. Carroll's work provided a unique visual history of boxing's evolution from the 1920s to the 1940s, showcasing the sport's growing popularity and cultural significance. While we can't definitely claim that he was the absolute first, Carroll's Ring career, this book right here, which came out in 1947, is certainly the earliest well-documented example of a Black creator both writing and illustrating such a comprehensive work by himself. So this is the first time you see a comic. It's 1947. where a black person wrote and did all the writing and did all the illustration. Now, why is this important? Well, there was a very important book came out in 1947 also by the name of All Negro Comics. And when that book came out, they had a team of artists and writers. So Ted Carroll is writing this book all by himself, illustrating this book all by himself. So that's an amazing feat within itself, a very amazing historical feat within itself. These are some of the pages inside the book. Carroll's dynamic line work captured the raw energy of the boxing ring. More than just cartoons, Carroll's illustrations were historical documents of a bygone era. Now, after he entered the Hall of Fame, people look at him as a historian and how he told stories through comic illustrations. And now that's how he's revered, not just as an illustrator or artist or a sports writer, because he literally was documenting this as an illustrator, documenting these stories as a writer, and in comic form and comic strip form, even in editorial strip form. He's like one of the golden age creators and artists that I really wish we could talk about more. You know, we know about the Matt Bakers, the AC Holograph, the EC Stoners, and many others, but you know, he was somewhere around that same era. And I think someone like this, man, really needs to start getting a little bit more recognition. Now, he also worked on Joe Louis, Champion of Champions #1. Now, if you notice, it's something interesting about this book. If anyone has ever seen this book, read it from the inside out, look at any CGC slabs, they never ever tell you who's the writer or who's the illustrator on anything. CGC doesn't have it, slabs don't have it. Even if you for years, the earliest research I had was that Ted Carroll did this book. Now my comic shop is now giving some credits to not only someone else, but saying that there were also other writers among Ted Carroll. But this is one of the books that he's actually known for. And next to that is some of his illustrations and artwork that he also created. That piece in the middle that says Joe Louis birthday, that piece now I think is that I pulled that piece from an auction site that's actually right now listed at somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000, which I think is pretty cheap. That's my opinion for original art piece. Now, be careful if you go on eBay. They do have his drawings, but they're not original artwork. So be very careful. Now, what people do sometimes, they will go to old magazines and they will take out what they'll say original, but it's actually from the original magazine. So it's not original art. What they do is they go through old books, pull out his editorials, his illustrations, and they sell. And this is not uncommon. People do that a lot. So I'm gonna stop right here and see if anybody has any questions.
I'm good personally. I'm just listening, man.
All right, good. Now, he also has a book that I would really, really encourage people to read. It's a really, really fascinating book. It's called A Boxing.
You know, it's funny. I just brought that book up on the side. You know, I was looking up his name. Yeah, and that book popped up.
Yeah. This is, and let me tell you something. That photo, if you ever Google him, that's probably the only photo that exists of him. It's
funny because I googled the name and I got the white actor and stuff like that.
It's almost like when we were talking about Vernon Grant the other day. You know, there's another Vernon Grant, so you have to be careful.
I had to put in Ted Carroll, boxing artist, and stuff, and that's when he came up. Right.
But this is how hard it is to find. I mean, his artwork is still very sought after. I would say he has a loyal fan base, but it's not necessarily a large fan base. When I was doing a lot of research, I would go into a lot of groups, and believe it or not, even like in the sports car, like a lot of sports car collectors, I know people that say, "Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with Ted Carroll." So it just depends on what groups you're in. So you have a lot of people, but it's mostly in the world of boxing than it is in the world of comic books. But he definitely still has a pretty good fan base, very respected within the world of boxing and also in the world of journalism as well. I'm just going to read a little excerpt in regards to his book. It's a really good book. The life and works of a writer and cartoonist, Ted Carroll. Ted Carroll was one of the greatest American artists and sports writers of the 20th century, most notably as a boxing cartoonist and journalist. As a Black man working in an era when boxing was one of the few outlets where Black athletes could achieve success, wealth, success, and recognition, Carroll's commentary on the sport provides a profound perspective on race and the history of boxing. In this book, I.M. Phemister and David Patrick celebrate Carroll's remarkable achievements as a sports cartoonist, illustrator, painter, and writer. They begin with an introduction to his life and then explore his work, featuring 44 of his best articles from Ring Magazine, the Bible of boxing. And one of the fascinating things about Ring Magazine, I actually collect Ring Magazine because I also collect boxing cards. And one of the things about Ring Magazine, those are some of the earliest illustrations you would actually have of Black people during that period, outside of just in magazine or illustration form. And they did some and Joe Louis you had Joe Louis, you had Kid Chocolate, you had so many like amazing illustrations during that time. And Ted Carroll was like the lead artist for that magazine for several years. So if you pretty much pick up any Ring Magazine during that era, Ted Carroll pretty much did the work. Each section of articles is arranged thematically with an overview discussing the selections and offering historical context. The collection also features the important series, The American Black Man in Boxing. That's an actual essay he wrote in the Ring Magazine, which examines race, sport, and society. And that's one of the things about Ted Carroll. When you read about it, he was always looking through the lens of a Black man trying to understand all the nuances of how some of these boxers are gaining all this influence, fame, and fortune, but still at that time, still being mistreated, still going through some of the most egregious things during that time. And he was just fascinated by how, in one light, someone like, Joe Louis could be revered and seen as an American hero, but at the same time, in certain places, he still had to go through the back to get into certain restaurants and different things like that. So these things were fascinating him. He always documented these things and wrote about these things. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. What I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of make this, do a segue between Ted Carroll and Joe Louis. And let me tell you why. We talk about heroes. We talk about, the Blade, the Black Panther, Falcon, Misty Knights, all these superheroes. What we fail to realize is that if you study and you go back and look throughout the golden age in the 40s, 50s, our heroes were Jackie Robinson, Larry Doby, Joe Louis, and people like that. And these were people that were gracing comic books. Many of you probably own some Willie Mays comic books or own some Jackie Robinson comic books from that era. Larry Doby comic books, Roy Campanella comic books. These were our athletes. And I think they're a little bit different than the celebrities today. If you think about during the civil rights movement, we had people like Bill Russell. We had people like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We had people like Jim Brown. We had Al Robeson. Not Al Robeson. Paul Robeson. I apologize. Paul Robeson. These were guys who were athletes at one point in time in their career, but they really, really became great representation of African Americans during that time. And not only were they being some of the greatest leaders for change, a lot of the change we saw came out of their pockets. The same with people like Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte. What people don't realize is people that like Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, in many occasions, financed much of the civil rights movement out of their pockets. So that's what people like, Jim Brown was doing. That's what it's different from athletes today. It's no shade on it. Times change and things are different. But I think it's important to look at, when we look at celebrity today, it's much different. We kind of saw a little bit of it last year, how celebrity somehow tries to find a way to politicize their influence instead of trying to create change. Well, back then, celebrities were really trying to create change. They're really trying to be pioneers. And that made them heroes. That's why if you think about a lot of kids, black kids during that era, most black kids were playing baseball during that time. They weren't really playing a lot of football, a lot of basketball. Baseball was like the sport. And so people were looking up to people like Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Satchel Paige and all these people like that, because it wasn't because they were just celebrities. They were actually about trying to make a difference. And Joe Louis personified that. And the reason why I want to bring him up is because when you study comics, especially from the Golden Age, especially when you start looking at the black narrative, you can't get away from Joe Louis. Joe Louis is literally building the foundation for comic book heroism and black comic book heroism. So we're going to start reading some things. So I titled this Joe Louis, From Champion to Comic Book Hero. Joe Louis is often hailed as the first African-American to become a nationwide hero, with his pivotal 1936 fight against Max Schmeling serving as a powerful symbol of anti-Nazi sentiment. Louis reigned as the world heavyweight champion from 1937 until his retirement in 1949. His influence on comic books and pop culture was profound, cementing his legacy not just as a boxing champion, but as a national icon and symbol of resistance against tyranny.
Excuse me, Rico.
Is
this a new slide?
Oh yeah, my bad. Thank you, man. Right there. Good call, man. Good call.
Anytime.
Its influence on comic books. Yeah, I'm looking at it on both computers because this one's kind of small, so I got it on my computer too. So its influence on comic books and popular culture was profound, cementing his legacy not just as a boxing champion, but as a national icon and symbol of resistance against tyranny. Joe Louis's impact extended far beyond the ring, shaping the cultural landscape of his time. To understand who truly deserves the title of greatest of all time and laying the historical foundation for Black representation in comic books, one need look no further than Joe Louis.
You can go back to that. Yeah, that's
now. This is just a few, y'all. Every book you see here is from the Golden Age, except for the Spanish one at the top, and I love that comic. That's a book I've been looking for. It's really a hard book to find. And when you find it, it's like they want an arm and a leg. But many of these books are all from the Golden Era. And I'm going to go through some of these books so you can kind of understand like the impact Joe Louis had on comics. Now, the very first one is True Comics #1. And we've talked about this book. I'm also going to go a little bit deeper later on in the next slide. True Comics #1 came out in 1941. Now, this is a comic that people and I may have attributed to this to some extent, but we're going to talk about why this book is so important. And I think a lot of times we love to use the word in a positive light. And I don't necessarily like that. Maybe I've said that at times, but I think we really need to kind of stop looking at when things are groundbreaking. It's because it was in a positive light. Because now it seems like it's about acceptance now. And I think the impact that we had as African Americans during that time far exceed acceptance, because we did things even when the ones giving us any acceptance. We weren't accepted. You know, I look at it more like the Booker T. Washington approach. You know, when you really study the dynamics of what Booker T. Washington was doing, it was about infrastructure. Many people, the unlearned people that tend to go with the traditional narrative or the narrative that, he wasn't, as radical as he should be. Well, unlike most people forget his famous book is Up from Slavery. This dude came right out of slavery. W. Du Bois grew up privileged and went to an Ivy League school. No shade, but what I'm saying is you can't compare the two. So someone that came right out of slavery and walked to his next destination and then turned around and built not only a university and then turned around and established the first venture capital firm, which is the Negro Business League. This guy did this right out of slavery. So his idea was, let's stop worrying about acceptance and let's build our own infrastructure. Let's create our hospitals. Let's create our schools. Let's create our universities. Let's not worry about what everybody waiting on somebody to give us something. We have the tools. We have the intellect. We have the resources to build on our own. And this is why sometimes I don't like when we start saying, oh, well, this is the first time a black man was on a cover in a positive light. that's not the significance of these books. You know, none of these books is really that is why it's significant. I understand why we say that sometimes. Like I said, maybe I say that sometimes. But I really want us to kind of remove that because I think we start downplaying the true significance and the storytelling and the creativity that these books and these stories represent. So the second book is True Comics. It's Picture News. And Picture News came out in 1946. Now look at these years, 1946, 1941. Remember, All Negro Comics came out in 1947. Joe Louis Champion of Champions. That book came out in 1950. The two books next to each other, you have issue number 1 in yellow and issue number 2 in blue. Then you have True Sport Picture Stories. Again, there you go. Picture Stories. That's a comic book. So when you hear things like Picture Story, you hear things like Picture Book, these were comics. It's similar to the people that are familiar with a lot of Golden Age books that were horizontal. Those were comics like Red Mask, with people thought was the first African American hero, but he's not. But that was an actual small horizontal comic. Poor Little Mosi, which actually came out in the early 1900s, I believe 1901, 1902, which is actually the first time an African American or a black character had its own title and its own comic book. This is just like pretty much the Platinum era. That was a horizontal comic that it took a while, but Cover Price just recently added to their comic book database. So you got to understand and put things in context. And so when people start saying, "Oh, it doesn't say comic book, it says Picture Story," you got to look back and look at how they were identifying these books. So these are all amazing covers and stories that showed, that highlighted and featured Joe Louis in the golden era. Matter of fact, there's one at the bottom when you kind of see him punching. They're literally playing off of his power. They're saying, you know, how he can jab almost like 50 miles per hour. So they're kind of playing off of like this level of heroism. So books like this, I mean, understanding like his significance is very, very important. Now we're going to get into True Comics number 5. Now, when we talk about True Comics number 5, this is what I want us to start really understanding. And we've kind of glossed over this, but I really want to go in a little bit deeper. So that's the comic book on the left. And it's a very important book. It's a book that many people in the community are chasing. A few people have. It's not an easy book to find, especially in good condition. I think the highest graded copy on the census is like a 7.5 or something like that. So now, why is this book important? Well, what sometimes people say, they say, "Oh, the first time African American was featured on the cover in a positive light." No, not necessarily. This was the first time where not only did we have this an African American on the cover of a book, but he had his own feature story inside the book. But it becomes even more important. So Parent Institute in 1943, what they realized is they had all this content. And what Parent Institute, that's the letter in the middle. If you can't really see it, I'm gonna read some of the information for you. Parent Institute had a myriad of books during that time. They had books geared toward little girls, little boys, moms, women, everybody, but none geared toward Black people at all. But in every book, they would sprinkle Black stories in the books. There might be they had one comic book. They had a book called Calling All the Girls, and in that book was the first time Mary McLeod Bethune was actually featured in a comic book. Also in that series, the first time Marian Anderson, known for being the first successful, renowned Black opera singer, was also in that book, in one of those books. You had many Black educators and physicians and athletes all in these books, singers, people like Count Basie, all in just a myriad of Black people. They were always sprinkled in these books. So when you look at this letter, I'm going to read this letter to you. So this is coming just two publishers and executives kind of talking back and forth to each other. We just won't get into the name. He says, "Dear so-and-so, I have given further thought to the subject you brought up during my visit. namely how to reach Negroes. Forgive the language, that's how they talk then. Negroes, many of whom do not read fluently. I think the comic technique will be a most effective one in bringing a message to colored people. May I suggest that you authorize our company to get out a 16-page booklet, the size of extra copies of which I enclose. Now, what he's saying is he's enclosing some books as references. We're going to get into that. We already enclosed all 16 pages will be in comic technique. We are ready to write the script and do the artwork for the OWI at cost. And you could then have any quantity you wanted printed. I suggest that a publication like this might have one of the following names. Now watch this. These were the names they were tossing around. Now this is why this book is really important, y'all. These are the names they were tossing around: Negro Heroes, Color Heroes, and Picture Stories for Colored People. Now we know which name they chose, right? They ended up choosing Negro Heroes, which ended up having 2 issues. The first one that had the cover of George Washington Carver on the cover, and the second one I believe had, if I'm not mistaken, was it Willie Mays or Jackie Robinson on the cover? Don't quote me on that. But this was the beginning of it, and the book they enclosed was this book, True Comics number 1. True Comics number 5. They was using this as a reference to say, we can do books like this. We can create a book where there's Black people on the cover and feature stories on the inside. That's why this book is so important. Not because, it's the first time Black characters on the cover of the positive light. No, this book set the precedence and laid the groundwork. This is for books like All Negro Comics, Negro Romance, Negro Heroes, as we see, because this book came well before that time. And so this was groundbreaking. They saw the success of this book, and watch this, in the whole run of True Comics, I went through every book. You don't see another book like this, and that's why they use this book as a reference. There is no other book that they had where you had a Black person on the cover with its own feature on the inside. And they use this book as a reference to say we can create something where it's now just focused on Black people on the cover with their stories on the inside, which end up being Negro Heroes. Now, this is where I want to close. This is to show you what I mean by the type of juice that Joe Louis had. If you look to the page to the right, is the inside of Negro Heroes. So what a lot of people don't realize is that most people attributed Negro Heroes to the Urban League. Well, the Negro Heroes was not published by the Urban League. It was actually published by the Parent Institute that published True Comics number 5. But what they did was, since they already had the content, they took most of the work they already had been sprinkling in all of these books, and they reprinted majority of them inside of Negro Heroes. If you go to the bottom, I circled at the bottom, it says right here, it says the publisher of Negro Heroes are grateful to the Parent Institute publisher of True Comics, Real Heroes, Calling All Girls for permission to reprint in this issue the copyrighted features that have appeared in these magazines. So this book, Negro, it shows you again right here that many of those stories that you got in Negro Heroes 1, Negro Heroes 2 were actually reprints from the prior stories they were sprinkling in their books. And this is why True Comics number 5 is so important. And I'll close on this. If you look also at the top, there's basically like, you could say like a foreword or a greeting or an introduction of a letter written. Guess who wrote the letter and guess who signed it? Joe Louis. So Joe Louis was not only responsible for helping spearhead the first time we're going to start seeing fully vetted books published with Black people on the covers, Black on the inside. But he's also the one that they're using his juice, using his pull, using his influence to introduce this book, this concept to the public. And he writes this whole story. He says, He says, crowd around, you kids. Let me tell you, this magazine is a knockout. It's full of honest to goodness, true stories of Negro Americans who are real champs, fighters, folks who climbed into the ring, punching, KO'd everything that tried to stop them and stood up winners for the referees' count. You start right off reading about George Washington Carver, scientist. There are stories of Mary McLeod Bethune. Again, these are stories that were already sprinkled in their earlier publications. A great lady with a great life. Paul Robeson, athlete, actor, and singer. Matt Hansen, who helped explore the North Pole. Charles French, who swam through shark-filled waters, towing a raft of his wounded comrades. And Charles David and Charles Thomas, young war heroes. Boy, do they land some punches. It's all there in pictures, round by round. And those men and women won them all. This magazine, again, it's a comic book, they're calling it magazine. Our magazine calls them Negro heroes. I call them champs. They fought exciting bouts with poverty, prejudice, lack of opportunity, fascism, and then some. And buckled them all under and some hammering left and right. Reading about them in this book is a real thrill for me. Only thing is, there are just a few little handful of the hundreds of stories of true heroes that could be told. I like to read a lot more. I'll tell you what I did. After I got through reading this magazine, I sat down and wrote a letter to the National Urban League and told them that these were great stories about great people, but I wanted to read some more. I told them that boys and girls all over America would like to go to the newsstands every month and buy Negro heroes and read more stories like these about real men and women. I asked them if they would please have their artists and writers get to work and put out some more. You kids do the same thing. Get your friends to write too. Get into a huddle, all of you, and put your heads together and make a list of other Negro heroes whose stories you would like to see in this magazine. If enough of you write, there will be other issues. And he asked the address. Tell them, like I told you, this is a magazine. This magazine is a knockout. So long and good reading to you kids. Yours, Joe Louis. So I end on this note right here. This is a quote. Joe Louis' success challenged racial stereotypes and paved the way for more diverse representation in both sports, media, and comics. He was a cultural icon and a comic book superstar. His famous quote, "There are a lot of things wrong with America, but Hitler ain't gonna fix it," exemplified his commitment to American ideas despite racial injustices. By breaking through racial barriers, embodying heroic values, and becoming a comic book hero, Joe Louis laid a significant historical foundation for Black representation in comics and pop culture. And folks, that's Bible. Any questions?
Yes, I have a couple questions for you. First off, great presentation as always. I've learned some stuff tonight that I didn't know before tonight. Secondly, if you had to say, in terms of the Joe Louis comics that Mr. Carroll put out, which one or which ones would be the most sought after of the ones that you posted?
It would be this one. It would be this one right here. The most sought after is this one because it's the hardest one to find. Mm-hmm. But it's mostly sports writers that are looking for this book. It's not really comic book collectors because most comic book collectors don't really know about it. We've talked about it, but that's the book because when you do find it, it's really, really beat up and it's hard to find. I don't think there's any on eBay. I think there's one online, but I forgot where it's at. But it is extremely, extremely hard to find. And it came out in 1947, and this book is monumental. It's a comic that is the earliest well-documented example of a Black creator writing and illustrating a comic all by himself. That in itself is historic. Wow. And talk about bootstrapping, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's phenomenal. and it's also now also used as a historical document as well. So most people, it's mostly journalists, sports journalists, that are looking for this book. Now, this is the book most people are familiar with, the Joe Louis Champion of Champions that he worked on.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't hold the same precedence as the Joe Louis Jack Dempsey comic.
Okay, cool. And which of these do you currently have in your collection, if you don't mind me asking?
All of them.
All of them.
I should have known.
All of them.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I really enjoyed this presentation, man. Like I said, I learned a lot, and I didn't realize.
I enjoyed learning about Ted Carroll.
Yeah, and there's more, but the next show we're gonna deal with characters, and the last show gonna be a surprise. It's a big bang, but there are more than we think, and the fact that we're talking about a golden age creator, artist, and illustrator. Now, sure, a lot of his work, is contributed to sports writing. A lot of his work is attributed to maybe more like illustration work, editorial work. But he's an early black comic pioneer who laid the groundwork, who did some things that to this day he's the first to accomplish. And I think that's very noteworthy. And the fact that and I love talking about the EC Stoners and the Matt Bakers and AC Hollywood. I'm a huge collector of AC Hollywood. I love AC Hollywood. But Ted Carroll is someone that he needs to be in that conversation. We need to talk about him because he was so multi-dimensional. Of course, E.C. Stoner was also a writer. He wasn't just an artist. A.C. Hollingsworth was also a writer. He even created Bronze Man. Matt Baker was also a writer. So that just shows you how talented. And let's get into strips. Jackie Orange, the first black woman to have a syndicated comic strip. They were writers, they were creators. And I'll even say this, they've even gifted us with some, January 1st every year is public domain year. And people get excited when Popeye, Mickey Mouse, or Steamboat Willie, how you want to call it. But we have some amazing black public domain that has been gifted us by black creators that we could be, just extending the stories and the narratives and building. What people don't realize is Blue Beetle, DC's character. You got to be careful when you say it, but that character's origin essence, I believe, was the original guy with Dan Garrett. I believe Garrett. He's in the public domain. So DC did some trickeration where they did some trickeration. And let's not get into the trickeration with Static Shock. That's another conversation. But they did some trickeration where they were able to literally build an IP, an intellectual property and trademark off of a character that's actually still in the public domain. Now, it is their iteration of that character, their reimagined version of the character, but it's still an absolute extension of the original Golden Age character that's actually in the public domain. Now, it doesn't mean you go out there and create a Blue Beetle because you're gonna go through some problems. You know what I'm saying? But it just shows you though that we have, so many. Like I've seen people do things. I think John Jennings is doing something with Lion Man. I think that's amazing. We had a gentleman a while ago put out a feature in Savage Dragon of Butterfly, who's the first ever black super powered female hero. That's public domain. Think about Ace Harlem is public domain. Think about things you could do with Ace Harlem. There's so many crazy things, gifts out here. Torchy Brown is public domain. So
that's one of the things I like about Eric Larson with the creator of Savage Dragon is that he will reach into the public domain and bring those characters out to light, whether as involve it and get them involved with Savage Dragon in the comic, or have somebody do a little small story in the back of it at the funnies. So he will reach deep into the public domain and bring out characters that you never heard of. I didn't know the Tootsie Roll had a character.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he also did. Now, Fast Willie Jackson is not public domain, but he is in the category of orphan. And what that means is it's kind of like up in the air. It's like it's kind of hard to tell, but you have to walk on thin ice. So it's not public domain. It's like an orphan property. But Eric Larson, he actually has an issue where he brought in Fast Willie Jackson in one of his comic books. so he does that, even though that's not a public domain character. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, look it up. He actually did it. So even though it's not a public domain character, I think he was careful enough to kind of figure out how to bring him in without, and he kind of did it to the point where you really wouldn't know who he was. But that's what the character was. But we have a lot of gifts, man, that we've given us. And people say, well, why would you do that and not want to create your own character? I'm not saying don't create your own character, but take that character. Like, I don't want to see I don't want to see Butterfly. I don't want to see Lobo. I don't want to see Lobo. I want to see Lobo come in, and I want him to introduce his son or his grandson in a comic book. I don't want to see Butterfly. I want to see her niece or her daughter. I want to see us creating legacy heroes where now, watch this, when you do that, you can now trademark that portion of the IP that you created. This is what DC did. So yes, you can't trademark Butterfly. You can't trademark Lobo. But if I create a comic and it's Lobo's son, it's Lobo's grandson, I got an amazing story, that character is my IP now, or whoever creates that story. But you're building off the brand equity of a Black character that has a lot of just that many people in the Black community are fond of. And so why not take advantage of that? There's a reason why movies option comic books. They option comic books because they already have a following. They don't want to try to write a new story all the time and hope people will come see it. When you option a comic book, they already have a fan base. They already have books that's been sold. They have readers. So all you're doing is taking that fan base over into TV or over into the movies. That's why they option books all the time, because the fan base already exists. It's less marketing you got to spend, and it's less heavy lifting. The comic book did the heavy lifting. Now they're taking it and they're monetizing and building off of that brand equity.
Well,
okay, so I pulled that up, Rico, about Fast Willie Jackson.
So you found it?
Savage Dragon. Yeah, it says in Savage Dragon 170, Fast Willie Jackson married Dee Dee Williams. Had 8 children. I get the names of the children: Jackie, Janet, Jermaine, Latoya, Marlon, Michael, Randy, and Tito, and are living in Detroit, Michigan. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah. And secondly, let me just say this before we move forward. I looked up Dino Spumoni.
You got it?
That was one of my favorite cartoons, man. Dino Spumoni, if y'all don't know, he came from Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold.
And that show.
Dino, was that? I'm trying to think.
He was a singer, I think.
He was like a cabaret singer. He was kind of like a Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin type singer. But it was real. Right. So Dino Spumoni was one of my kids' favorite characters from Hey Arnold. Every time he would come in, and he came in one season, and everybody loved him. They would just start sprinkling him in. And every time he showed up, man, and he had this song that my kids would just sing throughout the house. So that's why I get Dino Spumoni from.
Your kids got good taste, man, because that was a good cartoon, man.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Rico, Go ahead.
Hey
go
man,
ahead.
are you a long lost stepbrother according to this comment, man?
What you talking about?
I don't know this comment, man.
I don't know what are you talking about. You know, you talking about the head, the head, man. Everybody black supposed to have the same. We got everybody. I just thought
Hey, well, I
about
gonna take my do rag off there, cause
yeah. Well, you know, you got me, Marcus, and Al up here with all bald head.
yeah, might well go ahead and take it off here. So
Yeah.
we all
Yeah,
right.
but you the brother in the top box though.
Hey, I'm the brother that ain't paying $50 for a haircut.
Hey, but you know we can switch that
Okay.
real quick.
Yeah.
I'll take mine off. I'm doing the Dion. I'm going through the Dion surgery so I can get me a hairline like Puff.
You need to go on over to Turkey.
So right now it's just a lot of dots and stuff. It don't look so good, but once it grows in, it's gonna be lavish.
Hey, you know what's funny? You mentioned that because I went back and I watched that video last week.
And I've been telling Puff, I'm like, we've been doing these shows all these years. I've been watching everybody hairline go back but Puff's.
Still there, still got it.
Yeah.
My hairline been gone some years, so you know I'm like that simply red song, holding back the gears.
Yeah.
Apollo Crews on right on cue.
Holding back
Yeah.
the gears. Yeah, man.
It go growing out there. Yes, sir, buddy. So glow.
Let it shine through. That was
Let
the
it
song.
shine
Man.
through.
You know what? I'm surprised nobody's ever done a Coming to America comic.
Oh man,
That would be dope.
Like seriously, like that would be. I think that would be a good concept for a comic book, man. Like seriously.
but Rico,
Well,
man, like I enjoyed that presentation. I learned a lot, especially with Ted Carroll. You know, I'm probably gonna buy that book, you know, just so I can have it and give it a read and stuff. Because like I said, I never knew his name. I never knew about that. And considering that, you know, it was more boxing related,
Yeah.
it's still a very important piece of history to have, you know, to know
Mhm.
that, you know, his boxing knowledge and then added into writing the Joe Louis comics and illustrating it and then being like the illustrator of all of his images and stuff. Like
Mhm.
that's a very important piece of history to know. And I definitely, you know, will like to get that book and give it a read.
Yeah. It's a good book. And I would even say the Joe Louis Jack Dempsey book is a really good book. Now, when you get it, it's going to be a tough read, not because it's a bad read, but it's because unless you're lucky, those pages are going to be extra brittle. Like, I'm being real with you. Like super. Everybody I know that owns one. And I only know other like maybe two other people that own one. They like have the same issue. They're like, man, those pages are brittle. Like it's old. I mean, I guess people didn't really take care of it. But it's a really good book too. And I think he had like over 400 illustrations or something like that, which is absolutely phenomenal. You know, for him to do that level of work. So Evolutionary Comics. Hey, y'all check out Evolutionary Comics, man. He's putting out some real dope content. He's putting out some real good content.
Yeah, we gotta get him on the show one day, man. He's a
Yeah.
Florida guy like me, like us. You know, me and
Yeah,
you.
and you know he's actually, you know, he I think a credit for wrong Evolutionary Comics. I think he was the first ever black grader at CGC. Somebody correct.
Yeah, I remember him saying that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's up. So we got a pioneer. We got a pioneer in the chat.
Hey man, just keep giving them Lobos 9 points, man.
And I just want to say, Marcus Roberts, man, hi, man. I popped in late, you know, so I want to say hi to you, man. You know, you was on last year with us, so how you doing, bro? How's everything going?
I'm doing good, man. I was really just in awe of Rico's presentation because some of the points that he brought out are points that I have discussed even myself in some of the panels I've done over the years. The importance of the Black heroes. I often point out Jackie Robinson and Joe Louis because of their comics and what they represented at the time that they came out. And branching off even into the Negro heroes with Booker T. Washington there on the cover. And I think it was Jackie Robinson that was on the issue too.
I think Jackie Robinson, yeah.
When the other books were throwing out these fictional characters, Shazam and Superman and whatnot, as heroes, we actually had real Black people, real living heroes that were breaking barriers and making strides in real time. And those things were being documented in real time in comics. So,
and Marcus, to add to that, I was listening. I was talking to someone, and this is generations are different, y'all. This is not to slight any generation, not to slight, but LeBron had tweeted something some years ago, and everybody was like, "Man, look at what he's doing, man. He's putting himself out there, man, and he's showing, he's and they was putting up, and I heard somebody put him up there with people like Muhammad Ali." I said, no. I said, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Bill Russell, Paul Robeson, these dudes gave Jackie Robinson. They was willing to give up everything, like everything, and even including their life at times, if that's what was required. So the level of sacrifice that these heroes then, they weren't using their influence to politicize us or to gaslight us. They weren't doing that. They really, because they felt what the people were going through. Even with the level of wealth they had, they never disconnected themselves to their people. And so they were always touching the town, for lack of better words. So for me, again, it's not to, look, every generation is different. They handle things the way they handle it, but you got to put some respect on, on that era, because those are the real heroes.
Right. And then as it relates to comics and history, and Sean, I'm saying this specifically for you, with Second Sight Publishing, we don't do comics, we do comic book history. Shook was historic in that it was the first hard graphic novel featuring all Black male writers. The volume 2 is historic, and that is the first hard graphic novel that features all Black female writers. Even with one of our publishing partners, Caliber Comics, they've been publishing comic books for over 40 years, and yet last year we were able to put out a book that had the first Black woman they'd ever published in their 40-year publishing history.
Wow. That's amazing.
So
history's still being made, man. I mean, I love that.
In comics, particularly with Blacks in comics, with our successes, with our achievements, and it's only going to get better.
Yep.
Amen. I love it, man. Yeah, we got to keep making history, man.
Yeah.
And
definitely got to have people like you, Rico, that document it, man.
I'll say this, man. I research for a living somewhat. Like, part of what I do for a living requires heavy research. So research is easy for me because I love it. Like, I tell people all the time, if somebody sends something to me, I don't care what it is, the first thing I do is research it. It could be a joke. It could be a meme. I just research it because it's just how I'm built. So it gives me gaslight repellent, which is good. But I'm just a researcher by habit, and I just love it. So for me, I don't even really buy comics like I used to, but I still always digging and trying to learn new things and trying to find new things. That's what I enjoy the most. I just love just constantly just trying to find, just something new and different I haven't seen before. And then the last show, like I'm saying, we're building up. The last show, We got a banger.
I'm looking forward to that, man. Because and you know, it was funny when Al talked about last week's show and how there was probably might be some guests on that. You know who I thought would have been awesome and had he was able to join that panel and who's doing a great job himself? DJ Big Phil.
Oh yeah.
Like what he's doing with his collection and black stuff is amazing. And he was in Orlando a few weeks ago for the OXA, you know, the Original Artists Expo, and I thought about going, but I didn't go. And then when I saw photos of him there, I was like, "Fuck, man!" It's instant regret that I should have went, because I would have met a lot of people that was there that I've seen on videos, you know, with him and the Black Comic Lords. And I was like, man, I wish I would have went to that event just to hang out with those guys and just to be in awe of his collection that he had there set up.
And let me say this about Phil, man. I have to say this, man. Phil bootstrapped that whole thing. He bootstrapped that whole thing. And you know, I didn't get a chance. He rides me on that. I didn't get a chance to make it up to
Hold on, Rico. Whoa. No.
What you about to say?
I ain't finna let you take the bullet for that. Phil, you need to call me. I've been trying to get you down here to the Tubman Museum here.
Yeah. Get him.
I don't want to hear it from Phil. I don't want him Phil taking those shots at you because Phil.
There you go.
Yeah, Phil, replay. Phil, you supposed to call me, so then Rico can come right up the road and come see the exhibit right here at the largest Black History Museum. The largest Black History Museum in the South.
Hey Phil, get at him, Phil.
1-866-801-8255.
And then he can head over to the Otis Redding.
Yeah.
Matt,
and then they can ride with me for an hour and a half. I take him over to Montgomery, Alabama, to the Lynching Memorial.
Yeah. But I want to say this about Phil. Phil bootstrapped that whole project. And let me tell you something. That was a Herculean effort. I don't care what anybody says. If you look at that exhibit, the artwork, the original artwork that was in that exhibit, and where that exhibit was, the August Wilson Center, he bootstrapped that whole thing. But what impressed me even more, not only did he bootstrap it, he took advantage of his relationships. Phil has so much good equity in the community, outside the community, where they were allowing this man to hold artwork that you could buy a house with. They're trusting this man with artwork that is invaluable. And when you have built that level of trust, respect, and equity where your name is money, shout out to Phil. Shout out to Phil, because I'm just impressed with what he put together. Didn't raise any money. And there's nothing wrong with raising money. There's nothing wrong with Kickstarter. There's nothing wrong with that. They're there for a purpose. But the fact that he did that out of his own backpack was absolutely phenomenal.
And to see how far it came from when he originally first started, and now what he's doing, going to different shows and having his setup and getting people to invest into it. Like, yo, man, I got this piece of art. It could be a part of this whole collection in black that you're building. And when he talked about on the Black Comic Lords, and I was like, man, I hope he continues to build and just get more success. If he comes back next year for the OAX, I'm there.
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be there. Trust me.
I'm there.
He'll be there. But nah, man, it's just an amazing feat. And so shout out to Phil, man.
Sweet. All right, let's keep the train moving. Let's keep the train moving. I have nothing today.
I'll
Sean?
share something. I'll share something. I picked this up, and you know it's funny.
Come on.
Sean been over to MegaCon loading up.
No, I have not. I have avoided MegaCon. I did not even go. It's happening this weekend, and I was like, no. You know, I'm already got my mindset on Heroes Con, so no.
Say Marcus, told you.
That's
And
the
Marcus,
word.
when I spoke to Marcus about the show, and I was like, yo, MegaCon this weekend, I'm not gonna be there. He said he wasn't gonna be there because they squeezing out the local people. I'm like, what the fuck? We was just at MegaCon last year together, Marcus, and now we not there. It's
Hey,
crazy.
all I got to say is the more you brothers keep telling me about Heroes Con, the more I am really locking in on it, because I mentioned that this was something that I was thinking about doing this year, and I keep hearing Heroes Con.
Hey,
I
Marcus,
know.
it's the closest thing to water baptism you'll get, man.
There you go.
I'll just tell you, hey, it's like going to a revival on a Wednesday night, bro. I'm telling you.
Not take me to the water.
Yeah, take me to the water. When you get through, you know you had that fried chicken and cake and collard green with that special punch. I'm telling you, bro.
Fried chicken and cake, boy.
I'm telling you, boy. You got to go to Heroes Con. I'm telling you.
Hey, you
I'm
better
telling
tell them, Sean. Better tell them. I tried to tell them before the show, but yeah.
But yeah, you know, one thing I love my hip hop, especially classics, and one of my favorite Bone Thugs and Harmony songs that I just can't stop listening to is Ghetto Cowboy, the Mo Thug song. And I'm like, you know what, man? I've been eyeing these books for I don't know a couple years now, and I was like, man, I finally pulled the trigger on it, and I got Reno Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
Great pickup, man.
Yep, I've been trying to find that at high grade.
Now, you know the next we need to get right. That's a good one. But you know the next we need to grab, right?
I got one coming in the mail because it wasn't in this lot.
You know, that's actually one of my favorite covers, number 3. I love that cover.
And it jumps to number 5, but I got number 4 coming in the mail.
Yep.
That's what's up, man.
Oh, you got the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
I love that cover too.
And Marvel put out a whole lot of books back then, but good grief.
Now that
And here's
cover,
the thing,
that cover is very important. You know why?
because it says Reno Jones without Kid Cassidy.
That is, I think he shares. Don't quote me on this. I think that is the. So I don't know the order, but the top 3 Marvel books that have the earliest three, not top, the earliest 3 Marvel books that have their black where black character has their own title. Of course, is Luke Cage, Hero for Hire.
Yes.
And I can't remember who comes first. I think Reno Jones is second and Calvin is third. But those are the top 3. Those are the 3 earliest ones. Hero for Hire, Reno Jones, issue number 7, and Calvin, Little Kids Calvin. Those are the 3 earliest.
And
that's a really important book because
he's
now, that's basically now his, even though I think that's the last issue, but that's
the last issue.
Yeah, but
it's funny that he takes the title and then they cancel the book.
They cancel the book. But it's a good story because you know that's he's kind of like they framed him for Old Boy's death. Yeah, so it's a really good book. It's a good story.
Typical.
Yeah, exactly. Very typical.
But yeah, I like I said, I've been eyeing this for the last couple of years, and I saw a lot. Man. You know, except issue 4 wasn't in it, but I was like, you know, I checked the books out and they clean. You know, deep, really good shape, and I was like, "Fuck."
No, those look good, man. That's a great
$30. I was like, I jump all over this.
Nah, that's a great run, slept on run, historic run. Let me
Yeah.
tell you something, man. Like I was hoping we would get some Marvel, westerns or DC western stuff coming in.
It's coming.
It's coming. Okay. It's
Hold
coming.
tight. Hold tight. I guarantee you that's gonna be the next phase that they'll start looking at as
Yeah, but
Western.
that's a classic, man. That's a classic.
That's what I tell you. The Westerns, man. I'm telling you that Marvel and DC, the Westerns, I'm telling you, that's a whole different universe you can go in right now.
And when I come back on the show next week, I will have Issue 4 in hand.
And you got the run, man. That's good. That's a good run too. Really good run.
And next week, me and VV are talking Thomasina and Bushrod. Fernanda
Oh,
McGee,
okay.
Max Julian. So
Oh, okay.
Black Westerns in the 70s.
Wow.
That's all I got.
All right, Rico, you got anything over there?
Yeah, I was just gonna show some stuff that kind of that was relevant for the night. So this is the comic
Oh,
right here.
Man.
So that's the comic there. I also want to show. This is one of my favorite. He did a lot of these. This is one of my favorite ring.
yeah, man. Them rain covers, man. I got one.
And that's Kid Chocolate right there. Mike Tyson actually said he believes Kid Chocolate is probably one of the best boxers of all time.
That's nice there.
And of course, I figure I'll show this one. It's the highest graded on the census, even though it's CBCS.
Big money grip.
That's a very nice looking book, man. I tell you, man.
And last but not least, that book helped us get this book.
There you go.
Oh,
That's sweet.
Negro Heroes.
Supreme.
That's my home. That's Bible.
Brother Marcus, you got anything you want to share over there, brother?
Yeah, Marcus, man.
Yeah, you know what? I do have something. Knowing that I was coming on the show and knowing how you brothers are into original art, I've mentioned Silk, the volume 2, which will be coming out in October. And what I want to show is the original artwork for the cover for that book.
Nice.
My God.
Bro,
My
that's
God.
nice, man.
I need that.
Hey, Marcus, who's the artist?
The artist is Kimbrea Whaley, and these are color pencils.
Wow.
Color pencils. I wish I could bring it closer so you all can see it, but this is amazing.
Yes.
I'm gonna need that.
Amazing.
Hello, Kelly. Hello.
So yeah, I everything else is nice, but having this original cover, man, this is like the highlight of my comic book collection right here.
Question: are there prints of that?
Yeah.
There will be prints available,
Okay.
I'm gonna need
but
that.
Hold that back up again one more time, man.
Yeah, hold it back up. This needs to be studied.
You ain't lying. Pancakes and juicy fruit. Well, good grief. Hey, you about to get us a copyright strike, bro.
and if
I did less than 30 seconds.
you really take a good look at that cover, you'll see how this isn't just a general black woman look. These are 5 different faces, 5 different black women. I mean, it's just beautiful. That's all I can say. And then for it to be color pencils, it's like she went real old school to bring this cover to life. So yeah,
That's awesome, man.
I'd love to have I love to have that, man.
Al, did you have anything this week? Did you get a chance to go to the store?
I do.
Okay, brother. I didn't know if you went down this week. I need to get down and see Mike.
I went over there yesterday and picked up a few things, man. But
Man,
before I do that,
You going through the collection back there, man.
bro, let me tell you something, man.
Tough, bro.
Bro,
Did you find what you were looking for, man?
Hey man, no, I didn't. I didn't.
Well, I know, man. I got to go through. I'm still trying to find. I put that green book in a loan box, and I don't know where the hell it's at. So I got to go through all of the loan boxes.
You know, I tell Larry all the time. I mean, comic book collecting, I love it, man. I love it to the core. I love learning new stuff. You know, matter of fact, this little blurb. Last year's comic book of the Black History shows we did last year. Bought a couple of books based off the strength of, you know, Rico and his knowledge and stuff. Probably gonna do the same thing because I'm pretty sure he gonna pull out some lava within the next couple of shows. So I'll probably be at Heroes Con looking for some of the books that he gonna show that I could afford. Let me just put it out there. But no, man, I couldn't find what I was looking for, man. Yeah, it's gonna be a minute because I gotta redo all my stuff. I'm going in with Larry to get some Mylar so I can get my X-Men, my Uncanny run right. It's a labor of love, man. I tell you, comic book collecting is a labor of love. Because under other circumstances, I would have been like, man, I'm finna take this back in the back and burn it. But I ain't gonna do that. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Okay, so before I show my stuff, man, I just want to throw a little blurb about that. And I know I'm probably gonna say something at the end of the show, but for those that don't know, I have my own YouTube channel called Everything According to Al. I'm putting the link in the description. If you like to subscribe to my channel, please do. I actually dropped the video earlier today, which was the op-ed, which I think y'all would like. But yeah, go over to my channel and sub. And I don't know why my left thigh bra is higher than my right, like The Rock. Anyway, I'm gonna show a few new books, and I'm gonna show one book I got. I ain't gonna show much because I picked up a good bit, but some of the ones that I picked up this week was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Naruto. You know, I'm a fan of Naruto, so you know I like anime and stuff. Which my channel, I'm plugging it again. Which my channel will be highlighting a lot of that stuff. In addition to that, I bought my boy Shazam. Got this. And then thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Good to see you, Cliff, on Comics, man. Glad you enjoyed the show, bro. I love this cover, man. For those that don't know, this is the Japanese version of Battle of the Planets. And I was a huge Battle of the Planets fan back in the day. And they decided to do a series based on Battle of the Planets called Gatchaman. Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. That's what it's called over in Japan. But I love this. This cover is just dope. I wish it was a virgin variant. I would buy it. Last but not least, I'm just gonna show this right quick because I know Matt got some. Oh, you say you didn't have none, right, Matt?
Nada.
Okay. So this book I've had, Matt knows about this book because he was with me when I got it many moons ago. It was about 2016, 2017. Bought the book for a very good price at the time. I've had it for several years, like I said. There's a guy in the comic community, which I actually did my first video on my channel. Kind of community named Steve Whiteman. Very good dude in the comic community. Very, very, very good dude.
I have to hang out with him today.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. But yeah, man, we saw each other, of course, at Heroes Con last year. Because he told me he was gonna get the book cleaned and pressed for me, and he sent it off to get it graded. So when I bought this book, it was the earliest X-Men book in my collection, and it still is to this very day. But he got it cleaned, it looks perfect, great looking book, and he got it graded. So I present to you all.
Oh, bro, nice. Bro, that's a nice grade. That puts it well.
Yeah.
Right. And
all I do is sell coke, man. I don't do no violence. I don't mess with no fire. No guns.
Don't argue with me, man. I'm trying to give you a chance. Now, you don't get me my money tonight.
Put your girl on horse road. That's what he said. But yeah, man, because Matt was with me when I got this from one of the comic book stores that's no longer here. I actually got this book, and I got X-Men 101, which was the one with Phoenix coming out of the water and stuff, which I actually took the Heroes Con last year and got Chris Claremont to sign, and I intended on sending it to CGC, but I haven't yet. But yeah, he got it clean, man, and he sent it off to CGC, and like, bro, and like I said, this is the earliest book because I don't have one yet. But yeah, I'm very pleased with that grade, man. So, and actually with this book, with what I paid for compared to what this 4.0 is worth, yeah.
Bro,
I
that
made
is
the right decision in getting it at the time. So, but that's all I got, man. Aside from
Sweet.
everything behind me.
Hey Matt, I got some I want to show, man. I just opened up. So check this
Lord.
just came back from Heritage. So I don't know if y'all remember, this is original art. Y'all remember Ricky the Rocket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I was just watching Fat Albert this morning.
Man.
What Greg
Nice.
Knight said, Ricky the Rocket was my favorite cartoon. After marriage, the honeymoon. Who
Ricky
loved Popeye, Alice the Goon.
got these cells from Ricky the Rocket.
Ladies, let your body flow.
And this is the one I'm really excited about. I can't believe I won this. So y'all remember last year we talked about George Harriman, Crazy Cat.
Yeah, look at that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Ignat. Didn't the cat love Crazy Cat? I mean,
They had a love hate. They had a love hate relationship.
Yeah, man. I remember watching that on the cartoons back in the day, man. They show that, and
last
had
but not
to pay them.
least, I just opened this. Y'all forget I had to do it, y'all. I just saw it at the auction, and I said,
I already know this pretty crazy.
I had to do it. I said, who gonna turn down the original art piece of Kang? Kang.
Jonathan Majors Kane.
Yeah, that's Kang.
Kang.
Did y'all hear the rumor that Marvel is looking to bring him back?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he you see all these movies he's coming out with, man. They got to get back on that gravy train.
Yeah.
So,
Tax the hell out of him. I hope he
oh yeah, he should.
1866.
He should.
Lift every voice and sing.
I saw that. I said I had to get it, man. I saw it. I said I had to get it.
Hey man, that's a nice piece of artwork, though,
Yep,
man.
man. Congratulations, brother. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's funny.
All right.
This morning, somebody had a broadcast. There's so many damn like old Saturday morning broadcasts. They broadcast old Saturday morning cartoons, and Rickety Rocket was on with Fat Albert coming on after it. I was like, shit, man. I'm just watching all this stuff and enjoying the hell out of it.
Rico, we got.
I'll say this one last thing, y'all. Matt knows. Al knows now. This year, speaking of Fat Albert, this year.
No. Save it.
No. I'm just gonna say this. No, let me just say this. Trust me, I'm not gonna get. We're going to be debuting something on this show this year. It's gonna blow y'all socks.
Top secret.
That was it. That's all I was gonna say.
Top secret.
That's all I'm gonna say.
We're not gonna.
It's gonna be nice too. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It's gonna hit y'all just like this. Rico, I want to say thank you again for tonight's show, brother. Look forward to next week.
Man, you're welcome, man. Appreciate it.
And by the way, next week, Marcus, you're always welcome to join again. But Keisha,
All right.
the Blood Library, she says the 15th is a good day for her to join.
All right. That was next Saturday. So yeah, we'll be back next Saturday. And we gotta get this we gotta get our show back on the road, Rico. We hadn't done one in God knows how.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So we got what, 2 more weeks, and then we're gonna do a music show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna be I got some nice stuff lined up for that. So we'll be back. Marcus, appreciate you coming through tonight, brother.
Oh,
Marcus,
man.
that artwork is amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Look for more from this young lady. She actually lives right here in the state of Florida, here in Lakeland. A local artist. I've known her since she was like 15, and I told her, I said, one day I'm going to put you to work. I'm going to have a comic book company, and you're going to do a cover for me. And we laughed about that. I laughed with the parents about that. And here it is. I have a comic book company. and I put her to work, and she has a cover debuting on a comic book being published by Dark Horse Comics.
Wow.
That's what's up.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Hey,
So, yeah,
Marcus,
that-
we gotta make you like a semi-regular on this channel, man, because the stuff you put out with Second Sight Publishing is awesome, and I need to hook up on that art piece and more information on that, because I'm sold on that piece you shared. So, matter of fact, Mark, put it back on him so he can share it again.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And Marcus, tell the people where they can find Second Sight Publishing on social media.
Yeah.
We are Second Sight Publishing on every social media platform.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna close.
Wow, that bro, that is
Nice, that man.
Are y'all gonna ever sell that piece?
No.
Hey man,
I
I gotta
had
ask.
somebody, look, I had somebody offer to buy it from me, right? And this was before the announcement was made. Now the announcement has been made and the cover's been shared with the world. And I told him, man, you know, this thing is worth triple what you offered. And he said, I don't care. I'm gonna hold on to it, man, for as long as I can, because, like I said, the piece itself it is historic for me.
Beautiful piece.
Man,
Yeah, it is sure is.
Hey, that is an absolute beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, it's a crazy thing. It's giving me Ernie Barnes vibes. It's just
Sugar
beautiful.
Shack.
Yeah, give me some Ernie Barnes vibes. It's very beautiful.
And
Leave it up there. We're gonna end on that right there tonight. That's how you close the show out. Right
Dan asks, is that the Dark Horse cover?
This is the Dark Horse cover.
Oh,
There you
wow.
Oh, wow.
Would there be a virgin variant for that?
That is a good idea.
Very good idea. Very, very good idea.
Rick gonna say he wanted original art for that variant. In his eye.
Hey, I had to ask, right? You gotta at least ask, right?
You can't play the lottery unless you win. You can't
There you go.
Hey, look, man, just talk to me in November, because the book comes out in October. October 28th, the book will be released. So this cover will be out. But we also have the Kickstarter cover is designed similar to this. So with both the Kickstarter and the Dark Horse books, you have covers that were done by as I said, Cambria Whaley, and just giving unknown local artists, black female at that, the opportunity to shine on the big
That's it,
stage.
man. Yeah,
It really is more important to me than anything else.
yeah, it's a blessing, man. It's a
Yeah,
blessing.
like I said, you have to come back on next week, because we got Blur Library. She wants to join, and she's been wanting to join the Black History Show for the longest. So I'm hoping everything goes right and she can join us, and you can share, because she loves your work as well. She talks about the Shook book and stuff. So gotta have you back on, Marcus, man, and we gotta have more communication to have you on at least a semi-regular basis, because I always like to pick your brain on Shook Comics, on the whole Second Sight Publishing, and it'd be great to definitely spotlight you guys more.
Well,
we need
I
at least-
appreciate it, man, and I definitely be back next week, because I got to catch Rico's presentation.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we got the next two. The last one gonna be the bang, but the next two we gonna end with a bang.
And Matt, before we go, we need at least 2 books to show. You must be out your damn mind next week. At least 2.
Well, I had to work today, so that's why I didn't do it.
Okay. Well, if you just, I find some.
Yeah.
Black History Centric. Yeah.
Actually, it's one up there. It's one. Look up that Outcast book. Did y'all already show that one?
God, man.
Yeah, the Outcast. Somebody got.
No, you just gave me an idea. I thought about one too when you said Outcast. So
Somebody put the Outcast book on eBay, man. He won a nice little penny.
All right. I'll make sure I remember that because I got another one that came to my mind. So
Yeah.
all right, cool.
This one, right?
Yep, that's it. You see the price?
This Noble Vest posted this a few days ago. I was like, damn, man,
Yeah.
you making me sour you posting that.
And then it says autograph, but like autograph by who? I just see something on the front side.
Yeah, I inbox it to me. I'll put it on the list for next week.
I'm like, man.
All right, cool. All right, well, we'll be back next week, same time here. Comic Hall crew, thank you for coming through. Hit the like button, hit that bell so that you won't miss next week's show. Also, make sure you subscribe over to Al's new channel, Everything According to Al. Is that it? Everything Al or Everything According to Al?
Everything according to.
Okay, I thought I was right. Okay, Everything According to Al. Go over there, subscribe. I think last time I checked, he was on 30 subscribers. I subscribed last week. What you on now, Al?
Thank you, sir. It said 44 now.
45.
Okay.
45. Oh God,
45,
thank you
yeah.
whoever subscribed just a few minutes ago. I appreciate it.
Yep. So make sure y'all go subscribe. All right, we're out. Y'all have a good night. Peace.
Peace.